eyes around Louisville will be fixated on the Kentucky Derby next week, but tonight we have our own pair of thoroughbreds clashing as Louisville City FC host the Pittsburgh Riverhounds in a battle of USL Championship's best, brought to you by Baptist Health. From Lynn Family Stadium on Pubs at the Pitch Night, alongside Devin Kerr, I'm Joe Malfa. Glad to have you along for the ride. At the three-quarter pole of the season, these teams are neck and neck atop the Eastern Conference standings. Detroit wedges in between after a win earlier this evening, but some history tonight. At this juncture of the season in USL Championship history, the most combined points in a head-to-head matchup ever.
Some big-time talent there as well. My mind starts on the bottom of the graphic, Joe. I look at the Indy 11 squad of 2020, won their first 4 games of the season. Evan Newton, Tyler Gibson, Louisville fans will know that, Ilya Illich, but of course Tyler Pasher leading the whole lineup at the top. How about that San Antonio squad of 2017? Started the year 14 games unbeaten. But the biggest takeaway from this entire graphic, out of all 10 teams, only one was able to actually win any sort of trophy. They won the Western Conference. That was Orange County, none of which were able to take down the entire title. Both Louisville and Pittsburgh look to change it. And what else are they going to change? 6 players. We saw 7 on the weekend against Charleston Battery, 6 for Danny Cruz. But spoiler, this is the preferred squad at this point in time for Danny Cruz. Perez comes onto the back line next to Sean Tosh. We see Gibson, Bone, Harris, and Brian Ownby introduced. What sort of speed can Brian Ownby bring to the wing? We know that, but does the balance then complement Mushagalusa on the left-hand side? This is going to be a battle in the trenches all night long for Gibson, Del Piccolo, and Corbin Bone. And we talk about Mushagalusa because of what was in the Charleston Battery game. Some poor decision-making, improper spacing. About 70 minutes into this match, you wondered if Danny Cruz was going to take him off, and then this happens. This is why they gave him the opportunity to come to Louisville. Special moments from a special player.
He is tonight's Commonwealth Credit Union player to watch. On the other side for the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, Bob Lilly, he knows a thing or two about winning in Louisville.
It's probably one of his most favorite places to play, so much so that he's the only person who hasn't worn a Louisville jersey to go in there and win as many times as they have, right? He's the most winningest coach outside of Louisville, and he's done it at Lynn Family Stadium, including the opener back in 2020, the COVID year. 15 meetings overall, only 1-3 come playoff time. Your lineups tonight are brought to you by Hometown Craft House. And what does it look like for Bob Lilly and his team? That's a great question. We know the back three is going to be situated in this fashion. Jamali Waite in goal. What I want to know is, do they keep Biasi on the right-hand side? Do they bring him to the left, tuck Forbes into the middle, and then bring Alex Dixon onto the right flank? The most dangerous thing about Bob Lilly and his squads is the unpredictability. Also, you got a guy by the name of Dane Kelly coming off the bench. Dequo with the speed up top.
Come for the Dogs tonight. Stay for what should be a thrilling matchup between two of the best teams in the league. They may be in it at the end, and tonight's matchup could have a lot to do with playoff home field. It's Louisville City FC and the Pittsburgh Riverhounds next.
Keep going. Keep working. Keep climbing. And always keep playing. With the unmatched orthopedic care at Baptist Health. With a best-in-class team, along with services and procedures you won't find anywhere else in the region, it's no wonder most people choose us to help them keep moving and doing the things that move them. Find a Baptist Health provider today.
Louisville's magnetic. When I hear Louisville, Kentucky, I think about culture. I think about the horses, I think about the bourbon, I think about the people. You have everything you need in a big city. At the same time, you feel like you go to the grocery store and see everybody that you know. You know, people here have a lot of human experience. I think they're eager to tell you about their lives. They've lived a lot of places and they've decided, hey, this is home, this is where I want to be because I love it here.
Since 2018, Commonwealth Credit Union has proudly sponsored the Barbasol Championship. This world-class event is one of only 52 PGA Tour events, and it's all happening right here in Kentucky. Join us July 7th through the 10th at Champions at Keene Trace in Nicholasville. Children 15 and under will get free admission courtesy of Commonwealth Credit Union. Plus, all state employees will get 25% off admission with promo code CCU Golf. We're investing in our community, bettering lives, and making memories along the way. Commonwealth Credit Union. Here, we see you differently.
Life keeps moving. It doesn't stop, doesn't wait, doesn't slow down. And one day, you look up, and you're not where you thought you'd be. but you can get there with Campbellsville University in Louisville. We're flexible, affordable, and local, and we're ready when you are. The time is now to find your calling at Campbellsville University in Louisville.
Did you know Toyota actually spends $1 million every hour of every day on R&D?
It's all part of an even larger $30 billion investment to design and build vehicles in the USA.
Made in America means something to Toyota, like 176,000 jobs and over 30 million Toyotas built right here in the USA.
And for over 20 years, Toyota's electrified vehicles have been leading the way towards a better tomorrow.
The more you know, the more you'll drive Toyota.
Let's go places.
Ready to get this one going. Sense of buzz in the stadium. They're expecting one of their biggest crowds of the season so far. Louisville in the purple from left to right. Pittsburgh from right to left in the white and yellow. Joe Malfa here alongside Devin Kerr for this one. Elvis Osmanovic ready to get us going here at Lynn Family Stadium, and away we go. Two of the top teams in the league. It would have been 1-2 coming into the night had Detroit not won earlier against New York Red Bull 2. But they held up there under the bargain, won 2-0, and they've been an impressive side so far. Louisville has them to look forward to in the Open Cup in a couple of weeks' time. Early pressure from Louisville, and Luke Biasi draws the foul. Taken in by Ownby. Now Biasi on the left side. Forbes always just marauding in the middle. Had a really good long chat with Bob Lilly about Gerardo Forbes and his role, not only on this team, but on 8 of Bob Lilly's teams. They've been together a total of 8 seasons in USL Championship. Here's Mushagalusa. Scored the goal to level things against Charleston last week and earns a corner right out of the gates. It's a Wi-Fi corner kick.
Well, the starting point for the question mark coming in, Joe, was what was this exactly going to look like? I said, look, if I saw the one tweak it could be, we argued over what the lineup could be. It is Biasi on the left-hand side with Dixon to the right, and Forbes will have the freedom to roam. I wonder what the wingback looks like in the unnatural left flank compared to his familiar home of the right.
Bone on the corner. Getting to this second ball is something Bob Lilly felt would be instrumental. Louisville loves to get service in, and veterans like Del Piccolo just do a great job of cleaning things up. He said they score so many dirty goals where the ball is just loose in front. Tosh sends it in, first test for Jamali Waite.
On cue, right? Tyler Gibson, just a long ball, recirculated up over the top after the dysfunctional corner, and Sean Tosh recognizes the scouting report that you just gave out. Stick one out there. Let's text the young goalkeeper coming out of UConn, transfer from Farley Dickinson. Funny when you look at the goalkeeping roster for the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, Bob Lilly, we kind of always joke positionally for some of the players how he'll take a Golden Boot winner and turn him into the best defender in the league and vice versa. You know, a wingback in college, and the next thing you know, he scores 20+ goals. The goalkeeping position, they're always Golden Glove winners or goalkeeper of the year. He doesn't necessarily ever run 3 deep though, right? Maybe rotation within 2, but 3, that's unheard of from Bob Lilly.
And he did acknowledge that he wants to get to a point. This one hit over the top to Mushagalusa. Good long diagonal. Mushagalusa patient with it. Bone back for Matiti, and Bone again. Bone squared it up, out for another corner kick. Now, he said he wants to get to a point soon where he limits it to 1 or 2, because you want somebody to get that cohesion with the back line, get into a rhythm. 3 is a lot, 3 is a crowd, and he said he wants to narrow it down to 2, and tonight could go a bit of a ways in that with Jamali Waite getting the start. Another Wi-Fi corner for Bone. Goes short and back to Dia. Back for Bone. Bone. Mushagalusa nods it down for Ownby. Here's Perez on the ground in front. Out for a throw-in. Commonwealth Credit Union has been bettering lives in the communities they serve since 1951. To learn more, visit WeSeeYouDifferently.com.
Get up! Danny, get higher!
Already hearing Bob Lilly barking out instructions down in his technical area. That will not change through 90 minutes.
He's just already unhappy, and I can't blame him with the positioning of what started for Danny Griffin and Danny Rivera. With the movement of Kenardo Forbes to the front line, that's not an unnatural position, of course. And you already touched on it a little bit, the freedom to roam. There's a disruption that it causes on multiple levels within that equation. Number one, the front two of Dequa and Cicerone quickly have their own freedom because they basically become out-and-out strikers as you drop Kenardo Forbes down in. Now Cicerone will come in and help out defensively, but he still has the luxury to go out onto that left flank. That means Luke Biasi, he'll drop a lot deeper at times because defensively you will have the coverage. So you can see Shane Wheat start to rotate to the right, and as they pinch back over, the midfield starts to open up. That's where you start to become concerned if you're Bob Lilly, because of the fact that you get guys like Tyler Gibson, Bone, and Del Piccolo on the ball more. He wants Griffin and Rivera higher to put pressure. You can't allow that deep-lying six for Louisville to spray the balls left and right 30, 40 yards. We've already seen two specific instances of Tyler Gibson picking him out.
And in this match, the one thing Bob Lilly noted, he wants this team to play the way they did in the 2020 playoff match. It was a loss. They were eliminated that night. But he said you can't go up against Louisville, give up 65% of the possession, let them dictate the play, and expect to come away with a victory. That night, they conceded early. Louisville hunkered down, but he was pleased with the performance and felt that if you perform like that against Louisville, you're going to win or tie more than you lose. I haven't seen much of the ball yet very early, but maybe that's why he's screaming for them to get up and try to take that space, not get intimidated, not just give it to Louisville because they are who they are. Here's Cicerone. Ball for Dixon. Forbes with him. Kenardo Forbes floats one in. Dequa was held just a little bit as he tried to turn. Here's Forbes again. Peters battling Harris and loses that battle for a throw-in. Taken quickly into Ownby. Good job tracking back by Griffin. And they wanted a pass back there, but you be the judge.
I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt here, just because of the pressure that's over the shoulder. It's a combination of trying to get a touch on the wall, but also a bit of contact coming from Brian Ownby. I have to admit that the defender, although it is deflected towards his goalkeeper, wouldn't want to do that on purpose, would he, Joe?
You'd think not. Dixon pressuring Dia on the diagonal.
The meandering mind of the center back. Next on Miami Vice.
Kyle Morton, a big reason for the success early on this season for Louisville. Danny Cruz, maybe still having a chat back about that potential pass back. Kyle Morton has had quite the history in this league. Missed 2018 with a torn ACL. Bounced right back with terrific back-to-back seasons in 19 and 20, back-to-back Goalkeeper of the Year finalists. And Kyle Morton on that list of goalkeepers who have been in Golden Glove and Goalkeeper of the Year races when playing for Bob Lilly.
I've mentioned a couple of times this season, and although one name has been added to the list, that Kyle Morton was the biggest pickup for any one specific team in the entire USL Championship because of the needs of a squad, the consistency that he brings. You know, we've talked about this stat before, but over 50% of goals for Louisville City last year were given up in the final 5 minutes of the first half and the final 10 minutes of the second half. Now that's an astronomical number, number one. Two, it wasn't all the goalkeeper's fault, but having the right person in that spot could definitely have prevented that. It's been a seamless change in the sense that he's come in. There's been no rocky moments whatsoever. If anything, he's been the talking point every single time. The only person that I would add to that conversation would be Roro Lopez going back to Sacramento Republic and how great he's been. Mark Briggs out in the Western Conference singing the praises of the midfielder because he has become a man amongst boys for the Quails and what they've been able to do so far this season.
Yeah, we might get into power rankings a bit at halftime, and you're going to see Sacramento Republic on that list. They look like Mark Briggs, I think, wanted them to look these last couple of seasons. Finally, it's all come together. Harris wins it from behind. Ushagalusa touches it down the wing. Fronted by Wheat. Key player on that back line last year and again this year. Shane Wheat. This portion of tonight's game is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. Del Piccolo following the bouncing ball. So is Jamali Waite. Cicerone. Back for Forbes. Biasi up the left side. And Forbes again directing traffic, thinking of what his next move might be. And thinking is the operating word. Bob Lilly noted that he is off the charts in his IQ. Said that Pittsburgh will score or concede a goal, and instead of celebrating or being down, the first thing he does is he'll whip the head around, look at Bob Lilly, and say, okay, what's next? Do we want to change the shape now because we're up a goal? Or are we just tied? He's always thinking ahead. Ownby scoops it for Perez. That's a long run. Peters does have to see it out, though. Just ran out of steam at the end.
Notice the defensive help, though. There's the drop off by Luke Biasi, and then all of a sudden, Russell Cicerone, who is just acting as one of the attacking options on the interior, playing a number 10 hybrid type role, has drifted deep back on the left-hand flank to counteract what's coming up on the right side for Louisville City. Even though Perez gets in behind there, it's a half option at best because the ball comes over the top. Jelani Peters, good rotation into the flat area to thwart the attack off.
And the right side of the attack expected to be lively again for Louisville in this one. Last game, Jan-Erik Leinhos and Ray Serrano never really clicked as they rotated against Charleston, but back to the two who are typically there this game.
I'm just keeping an eye on what Bob Lilly said to us and how they were willing to sit much deeper than normal on this giveaway. Is they'll step up higher now, but defensively they were going to drop even deeper in the wingback positions because they felt like the pressure could be isolated on the center backs, force them into some bad decisions. Now that could be long balls up over the top, or it could be misconstructed passes to the wrong defender on either side, push them into the bad spots, and allow the space to come up the field a little bit so that they could then press into the space behind on the turnover.
Forbes from the corner, Dikwa there, and Tosh just clears. Devin, you're a dog person. I'm a dog person. What never ceases to amaze me about dog people is the lengths they will go to do something that they think their dog will love. There was a lady in the corner who just lifted her pug so he could get a better view of that corner kick down in the corner. Dixon at the end line, puts it across. Morton got a left paw to it. And that lady will once again lift the pug for this next corner.
How quick is the turn here, by the way? And as Kenardo Forbes comes back out, this is where the vision is so impressive from the midfielder. Little inversion by Alex Dixon's. A lot of time you'll see him down into the corner whipping balls back across. This time comes to the interior. Kyle Morton had a big decision to make. Was he willing to step off the line a little bit and challenge that ball coming off because he had players behind him, or stay home?
Forbes delivery flicked on to the back post. Ordonez rose for it, whistle blew.
Oh, there it is. Doggles. Get the dog up top. Can we talk about the carrier next to him? Is that plaid?
It looks like, would you put, you seen The Hangover? Would you put the baby in front?
Yeah,
the strap?
absolutely.
All right.
Carlos. The dog's name is probably Carlos.
Could be the rationale behind it. Never know.
I don't think I could fit my dog on my stomach. I mean, I work out, but 60 pounds, one on the front, one on the back. There's my
60 pounds each.
That's off-season training regimen 101 right there.
Pittsburgh getting much higher now. Again, the footing an issue on that left side of the back line for Sharpie. After that giveaway that led to the last corner. Mushagalusa still with it. Forging his way through, goes down, shout for a penalty. Goes unanswered by Osmanovic. Mushagalusa never shies away from a 1v1. That one was more of a 1v4, and he still found a way through, trying to draw the penalty. Back up toward Mushagalusa. And now Jamali Waite. Bone surveys the field into Ownby.
Tell Shane and Arturo to switch. Hey, go and tell him.
Revere gets to the loose ball in the middle. Biasi for Cicerone, coming off a career year. 16 goals, 8 assists. One of the few players around the league to be top 10 in both of those categories. Cicerone and Dixon, two big additions for Pittsburgh after the way they lost that playoff game in 2020. Bob Lilly wanted players that fit that profile, brought them in, and they have made a world of difference for the Riverhounds.
I was a bit surprised that he was willing to come out and talk about that so candidly with us, right? The fact that they just, plain and simple, weren't good enough inside the box, right? Had guys like Russell Cicerone, Alex Dixon, which is funny because they're known for their speed and what they do on the flanks, not necessarily their IQs within the box. That's not to say that they aren't capable of it. Of course, very skilled players, but the fact that he specifically went out and got them, I look at the backside of that and how it actually affects the rest of the squad, right? So you go get Dixon and Cicerone, and yes, they definitely can get the job done in the box. More importantly for me, they stretch the field quicker. And their ability to change a game in a split second allows other players around them, specifically tonight, Akinardo Forbes and Albert Dikwa, to then play off of that, right? It provides more opportunities than just the two names aforementioned.
Ownby. Mushagalusa on his horse to get there and keep it in. Dia back for Mushagalusa. Tosh. He looked like he wanted to tee that one up. Thinks better of it in the end. Ownby, a nice turn into a pocket of space. Harris commits the foul on Cicerone. And to tie up that point on Cicerone, previous 4 seasons before last year, 12 goals in 86 games. Last year, he gets to 16 in the one season, so completely changed the way he played. Cicerone almost got caught up there between Del Piccolo and Ownby. Now it's Peters meeting that fate. Narrowly gets that by the left foot of Harris. And now it's given away. That one was building. You could sense it. A couple of near misses. Dia in front. Harris there! All that man does is score. Louisville up 1-0. His 5th of the season.
Big difference between press and pressure, but you're going to see both. Unfortunately for Bob Lilly, it actually starts with the giveaway by the goalkeeper. The pressure was on the left side. After the ball comes back through, look at the numbers that Louisville have on the offensive side of the ball. Even on the recirculation, they know that they push you into a bad spot because you get Amadou Dia, Mushagalusa, Corbin Bone, Del Piccolo, all of which pressing down onto that left flank. And then you still have guys like Wilson Harris and Brian Ownby in the equation. Ownby starts it off on the right. Wilson Harris, right down the minute, finishes it off.
That goal presented by Kentucky Lottery, fueling imagination, funding education. Kentucky Lottery. You could tell that one was brewing. Cicerone almost lost it. Peters almost lost it. And then Jamali Waite, the guilty party, finally giving it away in the end, but he was put in a bad position from the get-go.
That's something that when you talk about tape review midweek with your manager, outside of the verbal thrashing that you'll pick up from it, the knowledge that'll come for the youngsters. Even though Shane Wheat's been around this game for a couple of years, you know, he was with Loudon and that organization. Last year was his first season coming here under Bob Lilly, and you're not going to get everything right away. But it is one of the best managers, if not the best, in the USL Championship. All-time wins for a reason. And it's Waite, it's Wheat, it's Arturo Ordonez. 3 very talented individuals. But in that situation, against this opponent, better safe than sorry. Ball out of the back, clear your lines, let's reset our shape up top, and then restructure ourselves to find it defensively. Instead, it's one mistake and a second. The waterfall effect comes. You play right into Lou City's hand. You go down a goal.
And this is what Bob Lilly was afraid of, harkening back to that 2020 playoff game. If you concede in the early stages here in the 20th minute, then what? Louisville has a chance then to kind of sit in, and where do you go from there? Can they get it back quickly, though? Forbes to Cicerone, trying to create some space. Cicerone! That didn't miss by a lot. Tonight's trivia is brought to you by Tony's Break and Alignment. Who scored in the last win against Pittsburgh in the regular season that Louisville had? One of these 3 guys scored. It was a 3-0 win, but only one of these 3 scored. This is back on September 9th, 2017.
Dear Lord.
3-0 win, one of those 3 scored. Heavy collision between Morton and Dequa.
You're going back there. That's obviously what year, sorry?
2017.
27. Title winning team.
9th.
Okay, let's look at it one more time and then let it stew.
I'm going back a ways, but that was the last regular season win.
Richie Ballard's now with Miami FC. Kyle Smith is with Orlando. Mark Anthony Kay was LAFC, then Colorado. Okay, let's think. first of all, it's absurd that that's the last regular season win. I mean, dear Lord. Come on, boys. The Louisville guys struggling a little bit, but that gives you an idea of how dominant Bob Lilly has been, either with Rochester Rhinos or the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. I go with Mark Anthony Kay. That's my pick.
Okay. Well, we'll wait a few minutes to get you the answer, but you get a 1-3 shot. I mean, over the top from Griffin, and the flag delayed, but up on Dixon. Now, Devin, if you haven't seen anything yet, I don't mean to put you on the spot. We'll circle back to it, but I'm always interested whenever a Bob Lilly team scores or concedes. If you have, or if you do notice a change in the shape at any point, bring it up, because the wheels are always turning with him. Anytime the situation changes, he seems to change.
There's two things. The first one is he's actually, and it was just prior to the goal, to be fair, Arturo Ordonez started centrally located between Jelani Peters and Shane Wheat. He didn't like that matchup. The speed on the right side of that back line was lacking a little bit, as well as some of the decision making against Mushagalusa. So Arturo Ordonez had gone to that right-hand side. He's really good distribution-wise as well. Jay Vidovich and the Pitt Panthers had themselves a good one for a couple of seasons. Also up top, they're trying to find a way to get Cicerone involved a bit more defensively. He's come central, he's come to the outside. The issue is the matchup. The biggest difference between Danny Cruz Louisville and John Hackworth Louisville is really the rotation in the midfield. What they're doing more is they're using Tyler Gibson as a decoy at times. So they'll bring him onto the back line, allow Sean Tosh or Wes Sharpie, who are very comfortable from a distribution standpoint, stepping up into the midfield and play the aggressor. Or they'll rotate one of the outside backs even higher, pull Gibson back. He can play a 4-man, he can play a 3-man. And so the rotation defensively, they're not exactly sure who's dropping in. Corbin Bone on the ball. He comes back and becomes a 6. Paolo Del Piccolo then drops right around the center circle. And so Griffin, Rivera, they're lost a little bit. Cicerone is becoming the guy right now on the outside to hold serve against Ownby, so the other two can chase.
And Rivera just actually jogged away from the play for a lengthy chat with Bob Lilly one-on-one. Back out there in the middle of the park now. Don't miss your opportunity to cheer on the boys in purple at Lynn Family Stadium this season. Louisville City single game tickets on sale now at loucity.com/tickets. Oh, I'm sorry, /ticket/. They throw the slash in at the end there as well.
Dear Lord. So happy you can read well. Put you in charge. And I'm the one that can't add.
There's no math in this. This is just me not seeing the last slash at the end of tickets. Keeping you on your toes. Hopeful ball for Mushagalusa. Here's Forbes dropping in and draws the foul. Whenever I have a chance to be a passenger in a conversation between you and Bob Lilly, I just sit there and listen and I try to absorb it all. You two went for a bit about trying to compare Conrado Forbes to somebody, and there really isn't one. He's just so unique in what he's able to do in this Bob Lilly system 8 years together now.
He mentioned a player who, respectfully, I'm not going to bring the name up just because, but more so because Conardo's that much better. It's King Kenny. I mean, he can do no wrong. Almost everything is right. The analogy is so difficult to make because, you know, I truly feel that the word versatility is thrown around too much. But for Conrado Forbes, if you just go back and historically track the starting formations, forget the ending spots, but where the 11 starts in his position under Bob Lilly, the guy's played every single position basically except goalkeeper. And I'm sure in practice he's done it.
Flag up and that attack.
He's entrusted with the 10, the 11, the 7, the 9. He'll play the 8. He'll drop and help out with the 6. And when you look at the matchup, I asked Danny Cruz about this. I said, listen, I know you like to talk philosophies and matchups, but and not single out individual players. You can't not do that against Conrado Forbes. And he said, no, we're very well aware because they've been together so long, the talent for the player, the ideas from the coach. It's a match made in heaven, and that match usually ends up on the victorious side of things.
Bob Lilly called him a very loyal soldier for putting up with Bob all these years and dealing with all the hard practices, all the extra things that he slops on his plate, knowing that he can handle it. And it has been a match made in heaven. League's all-time assist king. He's one short of 50, but does so much else as well. Here's Ownby working on Peters, taken down. Whistle is blown, card is yellow, and a free kick from a great spot for Louisville.
He's fortunate as well that the goalkeeper's closer and the ball actually extends towards Jamali Waite. If not, this could easily be a dog's situation. The fact that there are other players in the spot, that's the argument from Danny Cruz, is that he doesn't make a play on the ball. It's that Jelani Peters drags him down in the one-on-one situation, making no request whatsoever that he's actually gonna get stuck in, going to try and win the ball. I can't blame him, but again, even given all that, you've got another defender in the area, the goalkeeper's right there as well. You find it hard-pressed for a referee to send him off in that situation.
You and I agreed twice last week in the Louisville-Charleston game, and we're agreeing again here. So we got to disagree on something at some point, but I'm with you here. That's a yellow card for me. And that yellow card is brought to you by World of Beer. So it's Harris and Del Piccolo talking about it. Fifth third free kick. Harris already has one on the evening. 5 on the season. Del Piccolo won this season. Harris takes it. Didn't get it to curl enough. Well, time to reveal the answer. So you locked in Mark Anthony Kaye. It's Kyle Smith.
Oh, is it really?
It is Kyle Smith.
Dear Lord.
On that one. That game, as I mentioned, finished 3-0. The other goal scorers in that game.
If you say Mark Anthony Kaye.
No. Spencer.
Oh, Lukey Spencer.
And
with
Speedy
that.
Williams,
Oh.
the other 2 goal scorers.
Love them both.
But I went with the off-brand one to throw you off a little bit. I could have gone Spencer. I could have gone Speedy. I went with Smith. Felt that was the least likely one for you to pull.
Kyle Smith he's a very good player for sure, and especially within the system that was for James O'Connor. Then just didn't. You don't see him score many goals.
Only had 9 in his Louisville career. Cicerone all the way through the box. That one goes.
Look at how deep Luke Biasi is. He started much higher in his role, and even though Bob Lilly told us, don't be surprised if you see our wingbacks drop deeper and deeper, it's almost exclusively become a 4 because they're worried about the threats on this right-hand side. The way that they've sort of added insult to injury. Brian Ownby playing a bit more to the interior than you normally see. Now, he's still very direct in the movements coming forward, but that's because the right back of Louisville City, Manny Perez, come very high. So instead of a 1v none or a 1v1, you're really one-on-one for both Biasi and Russell Cicerone. I give Russell Cicerone a lot of credit though right now, because even though they're down 1-0, he's covering a ton of ground, asking a lot. His manager is of the man that's roaming on the front line as well. Not the same role as Conrado Forbes by any means, but still given a lot of responsibility.
Ownby tracks down and takes down Biasi. At the very end of that, Ownby either got a hand to the eye of Biasi while he was falling or a cleat to the face.
Yeah, it's got to be his boot, and you can see he meant no malintent by it. I saw the arm come up and wondered for a second if there was an elbow, but he gets behind him. Oh, it's right there. Oh, how's your aim? Just send a gift basket.
Bob Lilly wants a yellow card for that one. I have a hard time disagreeing with him there. Not for the follow-through, incidental, a step on the face, but could be in that tactical foul range. Biasi had the position on Ownby, brought him down from behind. And I guess the argument is, if you've given a couple of other yellows the other way, why not that one there? Giveaway from Dia, well read by Griffin. Still Griffin, now Dixon. Now Piccolo stops the attack. Players have been losing their footing left and right in this game. Continues there. Bounces off the back of Dequa. Here's Cicerone through. Swept away by Tosh. Dixon barrels his way through, goes down. Not much there. And out for a Louisville throw. Crisis averted.
Cicerone gets a bit unfortunate here, and you talked about the footing and lack thereof for some of the players. The ball itself is sort of squirming all over the pitch. Watch this touch right there. He feels the pressure coming from Amadou Dia. Great job, but how about the recovery from Sean Tosh? Coming deep all the way back across the back line, scatterbrained for a second, but excellent recovery.
Whenever footing is a problem in a match, you tend to expect it to be the road team unfamiliar with the field. It's the Louisville players who are slipping, that they maybe have the wrong studs. And there again for Ownby. It's all the Louisville players slipping on their own pitch here.
This is where you start to have a conversation with the boys on the sideline. Ben Holzman, your equipment manager. Maybe a change at halftime, right? You obviously don't have the ability right now to get over there and switch anything out. But that's the 6th time, if I'm counting correctly, which we know is usually off. I've seen someone go to ground.
It's a dangerous prospect right now, playing it on that back line if you're Louisville. Considering the guys we've seen slip. Sharpie's done it a couple of times himself. Baptist Health is the proud partner and exclusive provider of medical support and athletic training services to Louisville City FC and Racing Louisville. Visit baptist-health.com/ortho to learn more.
Pretty astounding as we approach the 40-minute mark. The lack of play within the midfield. So much of this game is on the exterior right now. Pittsburgh Riverhounds, to my point, everything is going to that right-hand side. Don't feel like they have any balance whatsoever. The other side is maybe they feel like they have a mismatch. Well, when the goals come from there, and the press that was Mushagalusa, Amadou Dia, of course, Dia feeding Wilson Harris in the 20th minute. They've definitely pinned him back on the left side. And you want to spring one way, that's fine, but it's become very predictable, which is shocking for a Bob Lilly coach team. You almost understand exclusively where the threat's coming from.
Mushagalusa to Dia. In that 1-1 draw last week against Charleston, Danny Cruz was happy with the effort, happy with the result, given all they'd gone through during the week. The hangover from that 120-minute match against St. Louis, the 12-hour bus ride, rotating 7 players. Did feel they dropped 2 points in the end, should have had 3. But the one thing that he was very stern about, unhappy with the way they started and came out that night. Maybe a bit happier with the start in the first half tonight. For now, up a goal, and they've dictated much of the 38 minutes so far. On Bob Lilly's side, the number he said, you can't allow Louisville to have around 65% of the possession on their field and expect to get yourself a result. They're up near 60, so in that neighborhood. Mushagalusa turns, Mushagalusa scores! For the 2nd week in a row, and the 2nd time this season, Mushagalusa on the board for Louisville, and they're up 2-0.
watch where this comes from. Gibson out of the middle. There's the drop in by Corbin Bone, and they go to work. The deep lying run that is normally Cameron Lancaster has obviously been passed down to Wilson Harris. Drags the runners with him, and then Mushagalusa inverts himself to the other side. You come really high on the left. Mushagalusa comes all the way to the right. The back line loses its shape. They loses its runner, and then you lose the grasp on this game. Chasing entirely 40 minutes in, and they drop another one.
Goal presented by Kentucky Lottery, fueling imagination, funding education. Kentucky Lottery, Enoch Mushagalusa, Wilson Harris combined. Early in the season, we talked about, as the season goes along, keeping an eye on where some of the spare parts from SKC, from Tacoma end up. Well, those two spare parts from SKC are adding up to something special so far for Louisville.
You do have to feel a little bit for Jamali Wade, because he's actually in a really good position. But with all of the rotation, the last second recognition defensively to slide over, there's a deflection coming off the strike, and the goalkeeper can't get to it. You have to account for so much when you play Louisville City, but certainly not doing yourself any favors with the way that they're being drawn out right now. Moments prior, you could hear the shouts from the sideline. We've heard it a few times, but the last one was "Get your lines right, Danny," and it was in with the midfield, referencing Rivera and Griffin. Griffin started deep, Rivera was high. They've now switched their roles, and as Griffin had gone on that one, Danny Rivera had not recovered centrally, and he was 2v1. Gibson comes out and he questions, do I go with the 6 that comes to the right-hand side? But if I step, which he did, then that's where Corbin Bone picks you apart.
Well, just after I was talking about how Danny Cruz would be much happier with this first half than last week, they get a boost, even happier now with 2 goals to the good instead of just the 1. To be a fly on the wall in the Pittsburgh locker room at halftime.
Nope. Not interested. There are times within some of these games where they're in the lead and I'm nervous to be in that locker room, yet alone now. This team it's all over the map right now.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say they've changed shape a couple of different times. You know, they're searching right now, and that's okay. This is a team that, even I said this to you, even in the Atlanta United 2 game up 3-0, they were searching. And Bob Lilly decides that even though they had tripled, Dane Kelly grabs his second in the 56th minute. What does he do? He makes 3 changes in the 62nd. Luis Argudo off, Alex Dixon off, Dane Kelly off, all receiving a verbal thrashing on the sideline because he wasn't happy with how they were performing, and they had the lead. That gives you an idea of the excellence he expects from his squad. So you take that into account. They're down 2-0, certainly not playing well. And all the areas that he felt like they could get at Louisville, we haven't seen any of that matriculate into the possession nor the play so far tonight.
And we talked to him a bit about where he views the state of the Pittsburgh Riverhounds so far this season. And he went down a couple of paths about what has been good, what has been a struggle, as Cicerone finds a way into the box and chips it toward the back post. Now Griffin sends it back that way to Dequa. No trouble from Morton. So after he went down those couple of paths, he said, look, to be honest, I can't really answer that for a month. He didn't feel they were really tested yet, not to have that perceived as a slight against their opponents. He was quick to mention that there are no easy outs in the league this year, but the schedule coming up is going to teach them a lot about themselves.
You said that we were going to get a look at the power rankings at halftime, right? And I have a feeling, I could be wrong, that someone, you know who you are, will include Detroit City in those power rankings. There's 2 schools of thought on it. Number 1, they have been getting results, right? Number 2, they haven't really played anybody of any merit outside of San Antonio. You could make the same argument for Pittsburgh so far. As good as that they've been, you know, they beat 901 FC, you beat Hartford, the draw at Detroit. I mean, Loudoun, Tulsa, Vegas. Vegas is probably the biggest one, even though it's a bit of a shocker in the Western Conference, that probably carries the most water. Everybody else, you would expect them to get those results, right? So the fact that, you know, Bob Lilly is still trying to decide, what do I have here, gives you an idea that they've got a long way to go.
They called this a measuring stick game. How about the road after this? I don't think Bob Lilly and the Riverhounds are sending a gift basket to the schedule makers of this season. At Louisville tonight, then home Birmingham, home El Paso, at Tampa Bay, at Miami, home Detroit City. How about that for your next 5? And to be fair, the Memphis 901 result looks good after Memphis just beat Tampa Bay and has looked good. That wasn't Memphis that night. They had a lot of players missing, injuries and other reasons. So take that 3-0 win on the road against Memphis with a pinch of salt. Harris lays it back. Now Ownby. From a ways away into the Estopanol end. Well, no stoppage time in this first half. So that's it through 45. Louisville 2, Pittsburgh nothing. Louisville perfect when leading at halftime this season. And they've got a 2-goal advantage against Pittsburgh. We were going to learn a lot tonight about the pecking order in the Eastern Conference. Coming into the day, first place Louisville, second place Pittsburgh. And so far, it is all Louisville. It's a very deep team. It's a very talented team. And they are showing it tonight. The dogs are loving it. The fans are loving it. It's Louisville 2, Pittsburgh nothing. Serve Pro halftime show is next.
Keep going. Keep working. Keep climbing. And always keep playing. With the unmatched orthopedic care at Baptist Health. With a best-in-class team, along with services and procedures you won't find anywhere else in the region, it's no wonder most people choose us to help them keep moving and doing the things that move them. Find a Baptist Health provider today.
Louisville is proud. The #1 way that I would describe Louisville is unique and unexpected. People here in Louisville are innovative and they think outside the box. Louisvillians are strong, we're resilient.
Every now and then I hear.
There is a culture and there is a vibe and there's something about Louisville that makes us different and makes us a really amazing place to live and work and to visit.
Since 2018, Commonwealth Credit Union has proudly sponsored the Barbasol Championship. This world-class event is one of only 52 PGA Tour events, and it's all happening right here in Kentucky. Join us July 7th through the 10th at Champions at Keene Trace in Nicholasville. Children 15 and under will get free admission courtesy of Commonwealth Credit Union. Plus, all state employees will get 25% off admission with promo code CCU Golf. We're investing in our community, bettering lives, and making memories along the way. Commonwealth Credit Union. Here, we see you differently.
Two-time USL champions. Your city is our city. Louisville City FC. The best are obsessed. Chasing down another dream. Nothing but net. Watch Louisville City FC take on Atlanta United 2, May 4th at 7:30 on My 58. Presented by Commonwealth Credit Union. We see you differently.
WDRB and WBKI are the broadcast home for Lou City FC Live. Tonight's game was presented by Commonwealth Credit Union. We see you differently.
This is how we do it.
At Kroger, we believe it takes the right team to bring you fresh produce. That's why we partner with farmers who grow only the best. And that level of teamwork means better, fresher options time and time again. Because working together is truly what it takes to be fresh for everyone. Kroger, fresh for for everyone.
Welcome into the Pro halftime show. It's the segment we call the dish, but in Louisville, do we call it a bowl of fried chicken instead, Devin?
No. We're going to change it up. We're going to can it for our feline friends at Pups at the Park and Doggo Night as we do this week's edition of The Dish. Birmingham Legion coming off a victory 2 in a row. We call that a winning streak, but in order to do that, you still got to win. Enzo Martinez, 29 USL Championship assists all time. Prosper Kassim, bottom corner, his second on the year. Response from Connor Casey and his boys on the weekend. Good draw against Louisville City. How about Aiden Apodaca? 6 goals on the season for the Battery, 2 of which come from Aiden Apodaca. Joe, you paying attention?
Nope.
Yep, 30% of the time he works every single time. Aiden Apodaca gets him to even. But here's the problem. See, if you look up the definition of rocket, it's a missile, projectile, shoot up, shooting star, goes through the ceiling, goes through the roof. All I know is what I like to say is after a strike like this, apologies. That's 2 in a row for Birmingham Legion. All is right in the world. They're above the playoff line. Let's go to the Dirty South. We're going to do that for a couple different reasons, and I'm not talking about the first goal scored by Philip Goodrum. That's Atlanta United 2. Derek Dotson, that's Orlando City. Chris Allen, that's Atlanta United 2. But again, that's a rocket. Joe, you paying attention?
Yep.
Good. Upper 90, that's an L, but that's also what Tampa Bay Rowdies are going to take, because after they get it to 1-1, how good is this? What a header from Derek Dotson. There's the boys from the Dirty South. Remember, just because you don't make it the first time around doesn't mean that you're a bad player, doesn't mean you're a good player either, but it does mean tonight that you are getting 3 points, 3 goals, and a victory. Woo! Spicy dish.
Very spicy dish. And right now, it's also spicy is the standings. These coming into this Louisville-Pittsburgh matchup with Detroit only separating those two. You look up and down the Eastern Conference right now, there are a lot of teams kind of figuring themselves out but still playing well. Out west right now, anybody's guess as to how this is going to look just a couple of weeks from now. Look at Vegas in number 5, but here's the thing. We don't care about the standings right now because what you can't see at home is I am knocking over a can of gasoline, pulling out a match, and lighting Devin on fire with his favorite power rankings.
Well, the fact that Detroit City is above Pittsburgh Riverhounds, Sacramento Republic, Miami FC, and the Tampa Bay Rowdies all in one shot makes me question exactly what's going on right here. I might give them the opportunity at the 10 spot just because of the fact that they've gotten results, but they haven't played anybody. The only team that has a decent showing so far this season is San Antonio, and you lost. Everybody else, I mean, come on, they tweeted out today, what can't we do? You can't beat a team above the playoff line. Can't control your schedule either. But everybody else, this isn't terrible, is it? Colorado Springs, they started unbeaten, 4, 5, 25 games, whatever, doesn't matter. Haji Berry starts to score again. New Mexico United, that might be a gift right there, because although they're really good, breaking into the top 10, that's Breaking Bad in my book.
If you didn't say it, I would have said it. New Mexico, the only one that doesn't kind of look like the others here, but that does it right now. We're back in a moment on the Pro halftime show.
We all have goals. But let's be honest, most of us aren't going to be professional athletes. But if your goal is to finish your degree, we can help. Come to a university that puts your goals first. Bellevue University, your partner in finishing goals.
are 5 big reasons to buy a Toyota Highlander. It's built in the USA. It's got room for up to 8. The electrified Highlander Hybrid has a 598-mile driving range. Highlander's been the best-selling SUV in its class. And the #1 reason, the great Toyota savings. Like 2.49 APR financing on any new 22 Highlander. Plus 2 years no-cost maintenance. 5 big reasons to buy a Highlander. Toyota, let's go places.
I don't know that there's a better night of the year to be a camera person than Pubs of the Pitch night. Your job is literally find me dogs in the stadium. ServPro halftime show continues. We do have to take a break from looking at the puppies to take a look around USL Championship with some news and notes. Louisville just chugging along, and tonight as well. Big move for Detroit as they try to solidify themselves upper tier of the Eastern Conference?
Yes, because they've got a semi-decent 11. They've proved that so far within their results. But as the games continue to come, obviously they've got Louisville in Open Cup. It has to extend beyond your first choice selection, right? Like, it can't just be Openo, Pato Patello-Faz, Stephen Carroll. Mackie Jobe gives you that look. It's an interesting move from Birmingham Legion, who, to be honest, they're struggling a little bit. What they were able to do midweek in their game against Charleston Battery, I admire them because they got out in front. It was a dogfight against them, and then you get a great goal from Prosper Kasim. But it's still, there's a lot left to be desired there, right?
Did you realize the dogfight pun or no?
Yes.
Did that go over your head? Okay, I just want to make sure.
Got it.
Okay,
thanks.
All right.
You should be barking at me.
All right. Now we're getting a little too far. This is getting a little rough. That's with 2 Fs. Indy 11 up 1-0 at halftime over Hartford. That's an interesting one in the Eastern Conference. And Tampa Bay, San Diego, those are two teams who maybe should have been in the top 10 of the power rankings. Tampa Bay was, but Tampa Bay at home up 2-1 after a loss against Memphis. What else on tonight's docket, tomorrow's docket, or Wednesday's docket really catches your eye?
Statement games for FC Tulsa and Birmingham Legion. Here's why. El Paso Locomotive certainly has not been great, and we understand that. However, they're 2-1-1 in their last 4. You could sense them turning the corner a little bit, including a comeback win against Loudoun. Tulsa has been abysmal on the road. That's a statement game for one of them. Also, Birmingham Legion. Birmingham Legion, although they've gotten results recently, back-to-back wins, 3 out of the last 4, they too have struggled with higher opposition. That Miami FC team against Phoenix, unstoppable in the opening 45 minutes. If they can replicate that on the road, going to be very difficult for Birmingham Legion to get a result.
The Dogs enjoying every moment of this. So is Louisville. They've still got a 2-0 lead. We're back in a moment on the ServPro halftime show.
It all starts with a smile. To show you care, offer a sign of love, welcome someone home. Even when we don't see each other, or share a room, even without words, smiles bring us together. Let's keep yours healthy. Mortenson Family Dental. Schedule online at mortensondental.com.
Here are 5 big reasons to buy a Toyota RAV4. It's the best-selling SUV in America. It's fun, adventurous, versatile. It has the best resale value in its class, with up to 219 horsepower. And the #1 reason, the great fuel savings. This electrified RAV4 hybrid gets 40 miles per gallon. Now get 2.49 APR financing on a new 22 RAV4 or RAV4 hybrid. 5 big reasons to buy a RAV4. Toyota, let's go places.
At U of L Health Urgent Care Plus, the plus makes all the difference. You get convenient, world-renowned care that's backed by a network of academic expertise, less wait time, plus more advanced technology, compassionate care plus no appointment necessary. It all adds up to a smart choice for the best care close by. So don't put your health on hold. That's the power of you.
When fire and water threaten your home, hand the cleanup over to the team that stays with you every step of the way in your journey back. 1-800-SERVPRO and ServPro.com. Like it never even happened.
ready to begin half number 2. Plenty of action in that first half on that Louisville side, out to a 2-0 lead. Let's take a look back at those highlights.
They go all the way back to the 14th minute. It's a quality start for the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. I admire the decision-making here from Kyle Morton, because as the rotation comes specifically for Alex Dixon coming to the interior, you've got a decision to make. Step off the line, close down the angle on the near post, or you're going to get pinched on the square ball back across. He does both. He takes away the option at the top of the 6 from Russell Cicerone. Still allows himself to make a save on the near post, keeps it at zeros. This is youthful exuberance exhibited in the most inappropriate way. Wrong decision making. A young goalkeeper trying to get cute, doesn't recognize where the numbers are coming from. Arturo Ordonez, I give him credit for not stepping off the line to try and chase, but he gets caught flat-footed, allows the ball to come back in. Ball then comes back across. Great recognition from Amadou Dia. Beautiful vision. And shocking that we're saying this once again, shouldn't be. Wilson Harris is 5th on the season. Here's what I talked about. It's all of the rotation off the back line within the midfield. You pull Gibson out, Bone drops back in, but it's the artistry and the allowance that Danny Cruz gives you on that front line. Look at Musha Galusa come all the way from the left-hand flank. Nobody picks up the unmarked man. And guess what? You give him space, you give him an opportunity, they make you pay. 2-0 Low City.
A look at the stats brought to you by River City Flooring, everything Louisville's way. And that number of the possession, that's the big thing here. That's what Bob Lilly felt they needed to avoid in this one. But it is Pups of the Pitch night, not just the fans with their dogs. Some players have shared some of their pictures as well. You've got Olive Tosh, you've got Ketis McCabe, and just a couple of the players here for Louisville with their dogs. Who's that?
Oh, boy. The boys. Oh, there they are. Look at them. Trace and Finley. Go to bed, guys. Go to bed. Lights out.
Here we go in the second half. Who are you kidding? This is their favorite game of the year. They get to watch Dad calling a game and get to see other dogs on the air as well.
Right now at home, Mom's going, guys, give me the remote back.
There were 2 changes at the half on the Pittsburgh side. We'll get those to you in a moment. But a 2-0 lead for Louisville. Had to imagine Bob Lilly would try to stir something up after that start. It's Mikael Williams in for Shane Wheat. It's Nathan Dos Santos in for Luke Biasi. As Williams' first touch goes back to Wait with it. Those subs are brought to you by MHS Global. Musha Galusa, 1 goal already tonight. Squares it in the middle. Nobody making that run. Musha Galusa again stirring the pot. Del Piccolo to the back post. Diving header away.
Changes. Nathan Dos Santos. The pieces of the Marshall contingent, of course. Eric Linos going to be very familiar with his former running mate, national champions in 2020, for Chris Grassi.
Bone. Try the Wi-Fi corner kick from the other side. Osmanovic in for a word at the moment with Tosh. A bit too close to the orbit of Jamali Waite for Osmanovic's liking. Dia squares it short. Perez whips it in. Del Piccolo making the run in behind. Keeps it in.
Well done. I'd say risky, but cheeky little move by Danny Griffin down in the corner. Like the recovery coming all the way across by Mikael Williams. And the tackle that was. Let's see how much Bob Lilly's willing to change here. Remember, he switched Arturo Ordonez and Shane Wheat in the first half. Ordonez had started in the center part of the back three. Moved him out to the right-hand side. Did well for himself for the most part outside of the slip on the second goal that was for Mushagalusa in the 39th minute. As Nathan Dos Santos comes in and Mikael Williams joins that. How much do you push things across now? Jelani Peters, things just didn't necessarily go well for anybody on that back line in the first half, did it?
They're going to be asked to do something again here. Mushagalusa taken down by Ordonez. That should be a card. It is. Brought to you by World of Beer.
It's really difficult for Arturo Ordonez because you have to make a decision. You know, where are you going to make your stand? I give him credit. He had a peek over his shoulder just before this tackle, recognized there was too much space in behind. I don't mind this decision. A lot of people would look at it and say, why do you leave your feet? I'm willing to overcommit in this area because even though within a 5-yard radius I don't have help, I do have help behind me. So if I get it wrong, at least the angle is a makeshift corner. If he gets around me in open space, well, we've already seen what that looks like. Mushagalusa's done it twice tonight. The first part of the buildup for the 1-0. The second time, rotates to the right side and is able to get himself on the score sheet.
Mushagalusa is smirking on the ground. Mushagalusa jogging it off. He seems to be all right. Can stay on, even though the trainers came out there because the yellow card was shown. Bone and Dia are there. It's Bone. And cleared away. Ordonez. Mushagalusa looks fine on that left ankle. Again battling Ordonez, who has to be careful now. Just kept in by Mushagalusa. Bone to Ownby. And Perez will just let that one out for a corner kick. Be there on May 14th as the NWSL's Racing Louisville FC takes on the Houston Dash at the 2022 home opener at Lynn Family Stadium. Tickets on sale now at racingloufc.com/tickets/. Remember the second slash this time, Devin.
That a boy. Well done. Who says practice doesn't make perfect?
Dia has had plenty of practice on this corner kick already in just 6 minutes here in the second half. See if they can get it right this time. Dia curls it, Wait, punches. Bone tracks it down. Harris. Forbes opens it up. Now Dixon from Dequa. Alex Dixon quiet on the evening so far. And that one missed in the end by Dixon. Haven't seen Forbes, Dixon, Dequa interchange much. Granted, they haven't had much time on the ball in the attacking third, but I could probably count on one hand the amount of times I've said Alex Dixon's name in this game.
They've compressed themselves so much defensively, Joe, that when they do start to come out of their shell and break the other direction, that was a real good look at it. 3-man game at best, right? You've usually got Albert Dequa up top, and then that's the problem. The then part of it is we don't necessarily know who's going to be a part of that conversation. That time, you're fortunate that you get Russell Cicerone. You know, Canardo Forbes was involved as well. But because of the high line that is so constricting and full of relentless pressure from Louisville City, they've got great recovery runs coming. I talked about the understanding from Tyler Gibson to come out of the middle. He'll drop onto the back line. It'll allow Wes Sharpie and Sean Tosh to step up in when they move forward. That also allows them, when they're coming back, to have a numerical advantage, right? Because there's a good balance coming off the back line with Amadou Dia and Manny Perez. They're really only sending one at any point in time. So if you send your right back going high, Diaz, he's not necessarily sitting deep, but he's certainly not exploring the same depths that is on the counterbalance side. So he just kind of bides his time there. Okay, if a chance comes my way, that's fine, but he's able to recover. And as mentioned, Tyler Gibson can still drop in. So no matter what, you've got at least coverage of 4v3, they'll take it any day.
Forbes snuck his way through the back door, but the ball never made it there from Cicerone. Dequad tracking it down. Dixon. Lushagalusa plays it through for Bone. Too much. But before that pass was played, you saw Harris slip. So it's still an issue, the footing for the Louisville players.
Slight hesitation from Corbin Bone as well, or he's in. Good job by Louisville City to isolate the back line again. Even on the slip, there's something off right now defensively for the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. And a lot of times we can talk tactics, right? Matchups in one-on-one situations. They're just not playing well. That's the simpler way to put it, is it doesn't matter if you set yourself up for success, you've still got to go out and execute, right? And there's been times where, you know, on the second goal, Arturo Ordonez, the ball's given away by the goalkeeper, Jamali Waite. He didn't chase, though. He stood and waited. And then as he started to track back, there's a hesitation on his part, which he gets wrong, and then he slips. Okay, the slip he can't really control, but the hesitation is something. That's not why he gets drafted number 39 overall, and it's certainly not why Bob Lilly didn't just go pick him up. He's moved him as a rookie immediately into the rotation. He regularly wears the shirt in the 11, and that's sort of been the virus that has encompassed this team tonight.
Here's Harris, deflected. Pressure again from Louisville. Wins it back. Bone for Sharpie. Over to Perez. Bone was calling for it from Dia. Patience from Louisville. Wayward ball from Tosh. That puts an end to that. Let's take a look at tonight's nugget of the match presented by Chick-fil-A. And they might be on their way back to it again this year, if it's any early indication.
Remember, not just the back-to-back in 17 and 18, the finalist in 19. This team, as Louisville fans know, Eastern Conference finalist every single season.
Here's Harris. Del Piccolo wins it back. Bone, not a lot of space to work with there. Overcooked it, trying to thread the needle.
Can you imagine the pressure that comes associated with any role within this organization? 7 years they've been to no worse then the Eastern Conference Final. So it's been James O'Connor. It was the changeover before John Hackworth into the triumvirate that helped steer this organization in the right direction. John Hackworth steps in. Danny Cruz now. Most people look and go, oh yeah, well, they've had success. It's easy to replicate. Yeah, right. Think again.
Dixon on the ground. Sharpie in the way of it. And the impressive thing is, you think about the players that they've lost throughout the years, and they just keep going through and in their scouting process and bringing players in. Okay, we've lost this guy, that guy, and the other guy. Well, we brought in Mushagalusa and Harris. And although he didn't perform well the last couple of games, he's had his moments this year in Ray Serrano. They just retooled. They needed a goalie, they bring in Morton. So it's never a rebuild. It hasn't been a rebuild. They've just retooled on the fly while keeping the spine of the team intact.
Remember, Pittsburgh Riverhounds no slouch themselves. It's just, you know, in the Eastern Conference, you can talk about teams like the Tampa Bay Rowdies, like Pittsburgh Riverhounds. You know, some of the more recent success from those two at times. Indy 11, we've seen some good play in the past from Birmingham Legion. But it's pretty much Lou City and everybody else, right? That's just, it's just the way it's been. Even though the Riverhounds first in 2019, you know, the second, third, sitting second now, still chasing Lou City.
Two changes. Argudo and Kelly in. Rivera and Dixon out. Subs brought to you by MHS Global. Dane Kelly, when we got the team sheet for tonight, was a bit of a surprise to not see starting. He comes in at the hour mark. There's a half an hour to influence things. A brace in the match against Atlanta. Already 6 on the season. Here he is on it now. Falls out for Griffin.
This is a really similar look, by the way, that Bob Lilly started with in terms of personnel in the 4-3 victory back on April 9th against Tulsa. And within that, your back line was Jelani Peters, Arturo Ordonez, and Shane Wheat. Now, of course, Mikael Williams is really the only different player in that situation. Everybody else moving forward is the same, minus Russell Cicerone. It was Alex Dixon instead. And within that look, they sort of stacked the way the midfield was going to look. And it's funny, we got into a conversation about it with Danny Cruz, and he said, what would you call that? And I said, well, you know, I gave him an explanation of how I thought it started, and then I go, but look, it ended up like this, a 3-3-3-1. And he laughed and he goes, that's so funny. My staff said the same thing, and I looked and said, you're crazy. Nobody says that, right? But it is. He did such a good job, Bob Lilly, of starting flat 5 in the middle, and he stacked Dane Kelly and Albert Dikwa up top. Let's see if he keeps Dikwa down underneath. Kelly can still stretch the game defensively. You cut off that middle pass, but then you get step ups through the middle for Danny Rivera and Bernardo Forbes to help out the look going forward.
Ownby through. Harris didn't catch it cleanly.
It almost looked like on the back end of this, Wilson Harris didn't think it was going to get through. There's a foot race. Cicerone a bit late to it, and his view's obstructed as the ball comes back across. When it gets behind Jelani Peters, Wilson Harris loses some of the vision and his ability to judge where the ball's going to come from. Not very often when that thing comes square across the middle, Wilson Harris doesn't get the better of it.
Forbes. Taken down by Argudo. Cicerone back for Argudo, wide for Dos Santos. Forbes finding more of the ball now. And just like that, taken away by the boys in purple once again. Forbes is always patient on the ball, waiting for that pass. How many times have we seen him just kind of giving that half little fake with his right foot, but then just never finding anything in the end because Louisville's closing everything down. Ownby with some space. Looking for some help, though, as he takes most of the field himself. Perez knocked away by Dos Santos. Joella's Hot Chicken is serving up just the right amount of spice with a heaping side of Southern Hospitality. With 6 heat levels to choose from, Joella's Hot Chicken isn't just about heat, it's about flavor.
You a hot chicken fan?
Always.
Yeah.
There's a local brewery here that we always go to, and
tell me more.
I always look at the menu just because, but I always know that I order the Nashville hot chicken sandwich every single time without fail.
You're just being polite, right? It'd be rude not to just give a glance.
Yeah.
You know, and it's hard to believe that someone actually married me, but for my bachelor party, I spent it split between the cities of Nashville and Louisville. Ooh. Attended the Kentucky Derby. It was a bucket list for me. Had a great time. Probably not welcome back, but there was a place in Nashville that we went for breakfast, and they had homemade buttermilk biscuits that were oversized, almost the size of like a bagel, split, of course, and they served it open faced, but it was hot chicken, 2 eggs over easy, country gravy, home fried hash browns, like into a patty. And then you put the 2 buttermilk biscuits together that you added with hot honey butter. Ooh, you're welcome.
Now I'm going to be hungry for the next 25 minutes of this match. Ownby hungry for a goal down the right side. Leaves a defender in the dust. Sends it across to Mushagalusa. Already won tonight for Mushagalusa, and he loses his footing. Slapping the ground as he gets up.
Would love to see just how much fight is within this Riverhounds team right now. They've been better defensively for sure, and that's not just the personnel, because you haven't changed the midfield in terms of the guys that started in the shirts. Cicerone's still on the field. Albert Dequa's still on the field. They're dropping back quicker than they were before. Better reactions. The predictability of their attacks coming forward is where they have to take the next step now. There's that deep lying drop that we talked about for Albert Dequa. But as an artist like Luis Argudo comes onto the field, they've really got to explore the full depths of their capability if they want to be able to get back into this game. Continue to rotate, balls up over the top, test the back line of Louisville. Haven't seen that at all.
Jorge Gonzalez getting ready to check in for Louisville. And it's Mushagalusa who will be on the way out. He made it 2-0. That's brought to you by MHS Global, Above and Beyond.
They go get him because he had 9 goals in 43 appearances for Sporting Kansas City 2, but 8 last season to pair along with 4 assists. And he's bagged himself 2 more this year. Back-to-back games for Mushagalusa. The game tie against the Charleston Battery. His IQ continuing to evolve under the tutelage of Danny Cruz. Really like what he's done over the previous, call it 150 minutes or so, wearing the jersey for Lou City. Excellent performance for that young man.
The word you mentioned there was experience for all the games he played at SKC. This one taken down the wing. What a tackle put in and kept in. Well done by Amadou Dia. Even the youngsters on this Louisville team, look at me saying the word youngster at 24 myself, but even the young players on this Louisville team, Serrano, Mushagalusa, Harris, they all have a lot of matches played under their belt in this league. Kelly has plenty himself, 105 goals. Back over the top on the run. Cicerone won't get there. Perez, another one on the younger side of this team. Plenty of appearances, North Carolina days. There's youth, but there's experience within the youth on this Louisville side. Mushagalusa, only player last season to start every single game for SKC. Gibson, his clearing effort deflected. Argudo couldn't find the lane to shoot after a heavy initial touch. Cerrone has Argudo making that run up the right side. Finds Dequa in the middle. Quiet game from Dequa tonight. But again, the same was said for Dixon. Up until the last maybe 10 minutes, the same was said for Forbes.
That's going to change, though. You're going to hear the name Albert Dequa a lot more as they continue to push throughout this match. I understand they're down 2, and maybe they're going to see more of the ball here, so the possession battle will favor the visitors. But as he comes deeper, and it's all about finding a way to get more numbers moving forward.
Here's Harris after the fortunate bounce punched away by Waite. And heads up play from Waite to get out there and bring it into himself. Saw that space. He was the only one in a Riverhounds uniform that would get there.
They're still trying to figure it out defensively, though, and one of the issues is in this central spot. Arturo Ordonez is being asked by Bob Lilly to have the ball at his feet a bit more. So when he starts to make these steps up through the middle, there's a gap. And so you have to decide which one you want to let the opposition have. Are you going to give 5 or 10 yards in front of the back three? Or as Arturo comes, then it creates this separation between Jelani Peters and Mikal Williams, and that's where they got into trouble that time around. It's going to happen, right? It's 20 minutes to go. You're down 2. You have to take chances. Do you care if you lose by 2 or 3? Absolutely not. If you feel like you've got a window to operate within, and it can help you get back into this match, try and step into it and go after it.
Argudo looking to get it back to Dequa. That's where it came from initially. Ball just lacking in the end. Danny Cruz had nothing but positive things to say about Pittsburgh. Dangerous with all their attacking pieces. Cerrone, Dixon, Forbes, Dequa, list goes on. You had Kelly on top of that in the offseason. A team that's difficult to break down as well. They don't allow many chances. You never know what you're going to get from Bob Lilly. But for all that, Louisville doing well dealing with the Riverhounds tonight, and perhaps further asserting themselves as the true top dogs in the Eastern Conference. Some updates from around the league as well. Loudoun United got out to a 1-0 lead on El Paso at home. They ended up falling 3-1. Detroit earlier, of course, that 2-0 win against Red Bulls. Indy still up 1-0 on Hartford. Tampa Bay 2-1 over San Diego with 20 minutes to go. Miami FC on the road against Memphis up 2-0 at half. RGV and Orange County tied 1-1 a half an hour in. San Antonio a half an hour in, up 2-0 on Monterey Bay. Easy Saturday. And for that matter, I guess from here on through October, they're all busy Saturdays in USL Championship. Bob Lilly visibly upset. Goes over to take a seat. Argudo, ever since he's come into the match, and granted again, as you mentioned, Devin, situation dictates more possession for Pittsburgh, but they've gotten the ball Argudo's way a lot.
Just still lacking that overall cohesion, though. There was a shout from the sideline a second ago. He's like, I need one of you high. Albert Dikwa came much deeper than we've seen, which is totally fine. But as he picks it up, Argudo comes over there side by side. There's no representation on the right. And then Dane Kelly's all by himself, and he's got to figure out a way, though capable, we've seen that a million times before, to beat Sharpie, Tosh, and Amadou Dia on his own. It's not exactly the look that you're going for, right? That's a communication issue. Because positionally, you don't mind the two of them there. Someone else just has to step up in the vacated space. It's one of their best assets that hasn't come into the field to play tonight.
Kelly's ball deflected. Dia clears. If there's one person not to doubt when it comes to tactics and IQ, it's Bob Lilly. But I asked the question, does it ever seem like it happens for Pittsburgh where they get too bogged down in the changes that are made on the fly? And maybe that's part of what leads to some of those moments where a player misses a cue, is out of position, out of sorts?
He'd be the first one to tell you absolutely. I can remember vividly a conversation that I had with him last year, and it was about halfway through the season. And we were breaking down a prior match. It was a run, actually, where formed a little topsy-turvy, and I just said, do you ever feel like maybe you overthink things? And he said, it's probably one of the issues that I deal with the most. But the counter argument would be, you send him down a rabbit hole, I'll follow him 9 times out of 10.
Here's Corbin Bone to put it away. Saved by Wade. Fans head to Twitter to vote on tonight's Lynn Family Sports Vision and Training Man of the Match. Poll will be open for the next 10 minutes. Vote now at twitter.com/Lou City. Harris, Louisville in the fold. The groundskeepers do a terrific job of keeping this pitch in tip-top shape. So it's just odd to see players slipping and sliding tonight.
I would have changed my studs at halftime if I had the chance, given how soft it looks. And maybe some of them did. You never know.
Couple of changes here for Louisville, brought to you by MHS Global, above and beyond. Now McCabe for Paolo Del Piccolo. Also going to see Soler for the second match in a row. Jelani Peters leaves on the other side for Pittsburgh. Mark Ibarra, some final instructions from Bob Lilly.
You talked about all the movement for Pittsburgh Riverhounds. This is going to cause a fluctuation on the back line for Louisville City as well. And Soler more than capable of sliding over to the isolated marking back spot, though you would feel that that could be the look for Wes Sharpie instead. He could pinch out and Soler could come to the inside. It's the depth of riches that this supremely successful Eastern Conference organization has continued to acquire over the years. How does it now look for the Pittsburgh Riverhounds with Mark Ibarra coming in? It's a holding midfielder by Trite, coming over from University of Michigan. Shaka Daly, guy who over and over and over again talked about his ability to change a game. Well, now's your opportunity. You've got the direction from Bob Lilly inside 15 minutes to go. You're on the road. Give your manager something to think about. He's going to move pieces, help get you involved in the run of play more. Help him change his mind as to how you can make your way into this lineup more frequently.
It is starting to rain now on the field, so that might make matters a bit worse with the footing. Soler is welcome to the match present. Here's a knock on the head. Yellow card is out of the pocket as well. Might have caught a forearm to the right side of the head here in this exchange with Kelly.
Well, actually, it looked to be more on the first contact as opposed to the second. The second one looked like Dane Kelly was trying to bring his arms up over the top of Ian Soler to get around him on the ball coming back through. Maybe an extension of the forearm on the first one. Sean Tosh saying to his manager on the sideline, Danny, easy. Didn't realize we were on a first name basis with 10 minutes to go.
It's been changed to a red. Wow, Elvis Osmanovic goes over for a chat with the fourth official. The yellow has been changed to a red for Dane Kelly. Danny Cruz got over to the fourth official after the initial challenge and was pleading that it was more of a punch or an elbow than just something innocent. The yellow card was initially taken out of the pocket by Elvis Osmanovic, and now that's it for Dane Kelly. His time in this game lasted 20 minutes.
Again, the initial contact is where I saw the most, right there. That one looks like where he connects, though. So watch the flailing arm right here. That's the first one that I saw. Connects a tiny bit, but right there. I guess the right arm coming back across. Now, he does try and push through the player, but look at the arm. Around the neck, connects with the head as well. Here's what you have to say. If it's me, I'm probably not brandishing a red in that situation, only because the player is trying to get around. I'm giving the player the benefit of the doubt. However, there is a motion there that a center referee could misconstrue as an action targeted at a player directly instead of trying to make a play on the ball.
And the motion is what gets you in the end. Whether you connect like Mike Tyson or it's a glancing blow, the motion in and of itself is enough for a send-off.
You send him off?
Probably yes.
Really?
Finally, we disagree. Yes, for the first time in a couple of games.
No, I never said I disagreed. I just said I could understand.
That's a hedge.
No. No, that's contract negotiations for next year.
Yeah. But the motion, I think, clear enough. And I'm on the side of, yes, send him off there. So now, what was already a daunting task for Pittsburgh becomes that much more. They bring in Kelly down 2 goals, hoping the league's all-time goal king can provide a spark and help them on the road back. Well, now they're down 10 men. And Kelly is the man they lost. Baptist Health Louisville provides nationally recognized orthopedic care locally. Learn more about their high-performing hospital ranking in knee replacement from U.S. News and World Report at baptisthealth.com/ortho.
I will say that I have to give credit to the refereeing crew and the acknowledgement that something had occurred, right? A lot of times you'll just see that go unnoticed. Now, you don't necessarily have to agree with the call, but the fact that they were willing to take the time, settle down, Elvis Osmanovic, fourth official, can't say right in front of him, but certainly not that far away, 10, 15 yards. Your assistant referee on the near touchline as well. Have a conversation, slow it down. Regardless of decision, we need more of that. The willingness to explore what happened, right? Not just, this is my decision and I'm going on with it. I get it. Bob Lilly's going to argue there's an influence by Danny Cruz on the sideline. You can't blame Danny Cruz, and you can't blame Bob Lilly on either side of it of, hey, this didn't happen. After the fact, I can't believe it happened. Good on the crew for at least having the discussion.
Free kick dealt with by Louisville. And still without VAR, the closest you get to it is making sure the referees will confer like that. That's your only chance to quote-unquote review a play if one person had a better look at it than the other. And as this game is drawing closer and closer to a conclusion, whether it's a Louisville win or some miracle, a draw if Pittsburgh can claw back, either way, it seems like it's again going to be a match without a loss for Louisville. And you start looking at the schedule and you start thinking about some of the historic unbeaten streaks we've had in this league. Now Louisville has gone up against a tough one tonight in Pittsburgh. Cicerone taken down by Soler cleanly, says Elvis Osmanovic. You start looking ahead and you wonder, how far can Louisville take this?
Yeah, when, right? Especially when in every single game you find a way. There's one thing to have talent. There's another to outclass teams. But when you're the squad that doesn't necessarily have the best outing and still you find a way to go get a result, a la Charleston Battery, Danny Cruz can say whatever he wants. That was not the product he would expect out of his team on a regular basis. Argue the travel, match fixture congestion, 7 changes. He demands excellence from whoever puts on the shirt. That's not the caliber performance he was expecting, right? And yet still, as poor as they were at certain points in time throughout that game, to the point of the Battery being flat out better, they still found a way to get a result. That's what can be contagious within a squad. That no matter what, regardless of circumstance, you can find a way to go get a result.
Two more subs on the way for Louisville, getting a final word from the sideline. Carlos Mogul, Napa Masoso getting ready. Play blown dead. Now here come those subs for Louisville. Masoso in, Bone out. Mogul in, Ownby out. Brought to you by MHS Global, Above and Beyond.
That's well done for those two boys. Brian Ownby. He's a pest, man. And I mean that with the highest regard to his performances. Every single time that he steps onto the pitch, he always finds a way to be an annoyance of some sort. He's the guy that's going to stretch the game and score goals. He'll give you the distribution into the box. Still good in air. It's great to finally see him healthy consistently, and you make the same argument for Corbin Bone. It looks from a physical standpoint to have leaned out a little bit, but the performance still quality overall.
Dos Santos trying to get it back through to Cicerone. It deflects it to his path. Cicerone deflects it off of Mogul, out for a corner. A couple of final charges here, perhaps, from Pittsburgh. Taken very quickly by Cicerone. Gets it back from Canardo Forbes. And a free kick on the way for Pittsburgh. Argudo, good service, back of the 6, knotted down in front. And the flag does come up to end that attack. Tonight's Lynn Family Sports Vision and Training Man of the Match is Enoch Mushagalusa, scoring for the 2nd game in a row. Made it 2-0, perhaps put it out of reach.
Not just the goal, it's his activity level, right? Just talked about Brian Ownby a second ago and being a pest. This guy's, he's not too far behind him. Similar attributes in terms of speed. He's got the confidence, which is a very good thing, to run at people. The understanding is starting to come every single week of what Danny Cruz expects of him. It's his role, but also the roles around him. Young guys, and I say that respectfully because they've obviously, watch out, that's a late challenge. I say that respectfully because they've been around for a couple of years now, but they're still so young. We look at some of these individuals like Mushagalusa, Wilson Harris, and act like every single time they're going to step out there and give you a 5-star performance. They're still in their early 20s. They're babies, right? And yet still, there's levels to their games. Now, the key part of that is, okay, if there's 10 different levels and you're rating star-wise, how do you find a way to get them to a 10? It's not going to happen every night. That's simple. Look at the Riverhounds, right? But if they're off, can everybody else around them still be good? And he's found a way to consistently be really impressive. Stat of the night, by the way, and I got to give a shout out to everybody at Lynn family. Attendance 11,093, 307 canine friends.
I want the job of the person who had to stand by the gates with a clicker and count every single dog that came into the venue.
I just wonder what sanitation's like coming out of the stadium tonight.
Do you think concessions had doggy bags?
You know, I feel like they should have. You know, the Modelo bar in the end. Throw some of the puppuccino. Who knows?
Bone broth.
I don't know. I don't know if we're going to have enough time.
Imagine going to the concession stand on a night like this.
Absolutely.
You get whatever you want for yourself, and then you go ahead and get a couple of milk bones and puppuccino for your dog.
I'd walk right up. I'd set the dog on the bar, the drink on the bar, and the keys on the bar. And they'd look at me and go, what? And I'm like, no, I just want you to know that I've got a sober driver.
3 minutes of stoppage time presented by Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport.
Very impressive from Louisville City tonight. The final couple of seconds tick off. It was professional from start to finish. They have had some really interesting games early on in this season. Questions still to be had about Birmingham, but they went on the road. They were beat up earlier on in April. It was back-to-back draws against the 11. Even though they started with 3 wins in a row, you kind of wondered, okay, like, what is this team going to do? And then they've just rattled off victory after victory, 3 out of the last 4. At Loudoun, not an easy place to play, regardless of what you think, I promise you. The drubbing that was San Diego Loyal. Off the Open Cup.
In San Diego, by the way.
In San Diego, absolutely. So there's the travel we talked about. You travel to San Diego, you come back home, Hack Derby, whatever you want to call it. 10 penalties that went, with a pretty stout lineup Danny Cruz put out. Rotation, more travel to Charleston on a bus, mind you. These guys weren't on a plane. 10+ hours on a bus either way to get to and from Louisville and still come away with results. I'm very impressed by Louisville City, and I don't want people to think, given this result, at least you shouldn't, that there's something wrong with Pittsburgh. Sometimes, Joe, you got to realize there's just no magic. You're off. And unfortunately for Bob Lilly and everybody in a Hounds jersey tonight, there were too many players that just didn't have the sauce.
Do you want to give a guess for Louisville as far as how long they take this, or do you want to leave that to where you can't be blamed for jinxing them?
No, I'm going to get yelled at no matter what, so I got no problem saying something. It's the ones that you least expect, right?
Because I have one that I'm comfortable to pick as their first loss.
Or you're going to pick Al Lang, the Rowdies? Nope. I feel like you'll go before that.
Before that.
Because you feel like that Los Dos game could be interesting for me.
That's the one.
Yeah.
That's 3 days after their Open Cup match, West Coast trip. After being on the field against Detroit in the Open Cup, you go cross country to LA on the road. That's the one for me.
Also coming off, I understand it may not be that far, but it's still a road game. You're at Atlanta United too, right? So you may go midweek, have the weekend off, but then you go midweek short rest Friday game. And I'm with you on that one. That's
a sneaky one.
Yohan Dame, his squad, they're doing some fun things out there, the LA Galaxy and Greg Vanney, and a lot of turnover. Coaching-wise, that's not a bad thing. Guys have been given opportunities. Guys like Junior Gonzalez, who were there for quite some time now with Chicago Fire. But I promise you, Danny Cruz will have them well-versed as to what they're going to need to do. Bob Lilly wasn't the best performance by any means. He will recognize that. Far from over from them, as their quality 4-0 result is over against Atlanta United 2. They lose to Lou City. Quick recovery for them against the Birmingham Legion squad next weekend, by the way, Joe. Back-to-back wins. The Hounds will be hungry.
In a battle of Eastern Conference heavyweights, the most combined points between two teams through 8 weeks of a season, it's Louisville who comes out on top 2-0. And that was a Mortensen Family Dental clean sheet. Clean game, calls for a healthy smile, clean smile. And just another one for Kyle Morton. Continues to rack them up here for Louisville. That is clean sheet number 6 on the season. A 2-0 win tonight at Lynn Family Stadium. Fans loving it. We get a light show. Someone check on the dogs, please, during this light show. This is probably a little bit too much for them to handle. But we're back in a moment to wrap this one up from Louisville, as Louisville takes this one 2-0 over Pittsburgh.
It all starts with a smile. To show you care, offer a sign of love, welcome someone home. Even when we don't see each other, or share a room, even without words, smiles bring us together. Let's keep yours healthy. Mortensen Family Dental. Schedule online at mortensondental.com.
Here are 5 big reasons to buy a Toyota Camry. It's built in the USA with style and innovation. Camry's been the best-selling car for 20 years. Toyota is the longest-lasting brand. And the #1 reason, the great fuel savings. At 52 mpg, this electrified Camry hybrid can save you over $5,600 over the next 5 years. 5 big reasons to buy a Camry. Toyota, let's go places.
Imagine your bright career when you join the U of L Health team. Now, imagine receiving free tuition to the University of Louisville. At U of L Health, we believe in investing in you and the power of education. So now, your U of L Health family has college tuition covered for all employees and their families. Just imagine the possibilities. That's the power of you.
Postgame is presented to you by the Kentucky Office of Highway Safety. And a postgame chat on the field right now between Bob Lilly and his squad after a tough result tonight at Lynn Family Stadium. On the Louisville side, a lot of positive came out of this one. And we take a look at tonight's Toyota move of the game. Let's go places.
Why not? As good as this team has been over the years, it is getting even better here in 2022. Beautiful imagination for Louisville City and what they're capable of come the final third. 20 yards out, the compression that they have to deal with, and yet everybody willing to buy in. It's Harris, Del Piccolo, Corbin Bone, all in unnatural and unfamiliar positions, and yet the same result on the back end of it. Great team goal by Louisville City. They get 2 on the night, 10 shots, 6 of which hit the target. Really efficient. And when you look at numbers that aren't on the screen, I just want to tell you this. Final third entries, very similar. 53 for Pittsburgh, 64 for Louisville. They both had 18 touches positively in the opponent's box. And yet out of that, I could probably tell you every single shot that Louisville had. Couldn't tell you a single one that Pittsburgh did. So that gives you an idea of the lack of inventiveness for the Pittsburgh Riverhounds and exactly how good Louisville was tonight.
Louisville now 9 unbeaten in league play, 6 wins, 3 draws so far this season. Tonight's final score brought to you by Gorski Law Office. It's 2-0 Louisville over Pittsburgh. What a performance it was. These two teams may meet again come October, but for now it's Louisville 2, Pittsburgh nothing. For Devin Kerr and our entire broadcast crew, I'm Joe Malva saying good night from Louisville.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League Championship cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League Championship.